Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Good evening, anyone that's listening online, and also to our members that's in the chamber. We are welcome to the monthly meeting of the Environmental Services Committee. Members, I know that Alderman Barr is joining us via Zoom. Is there any others? Hello? And Alderman Kennedy is also, so just to let you be aware, those two members are joining us via Zoom. Members, I have received 2 apologies, one from Alderman Berry and one from Councillor McCartan. Do I have any more apologies? No. Okay, that's great, thank you. Members, are we content with declarations of interest just as we go through tonight's meeting? Yeah, content with that? Yes, thank you. Members, I know agenda item 3 is straight into the Environmental Services report, but what I would like to do is I'd like to hand over to Martin to introduce. There has been significant recruitment going on, especially in Tier 4 with our senior management team, and we have a number of them joining with us tonight. So I'm going to hand over to Martin, who is going to introduce each one, and I've asked him just to give us a bit of an outline of what they've done within the organisation or their previous experience. A mini job interview, folks. Yeah. Okay, so over to yourself then, Martin. Oh, where's the... If you could indicate there, Martin, please. I can't bring you in. If you just hit the button. Yep, I'll shoot. Oh, it's not working. Just one wee second. Been a long day, Martin. All right. Okay.
Thanks, Heather.
Over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. As Chair has outlined, as part of the transformation process in environmental services, we have appointed some senior managers to the department. All of the appointments are relatively new. Some of them have been here for a year or two, but most of them have been within the last 6 months. And we thought it would be a useful exercise for the individuals themselves to come along to committee, to introduce themselves to members, and to give members some of the background of them personally and the function that they manage within the department itself. So if I start then behind me, then going from left to right, then we start off then with John Farrell, who's our fleet manager.
Hello. Yeah, thank you. Just through the chair, thank you for being invited here tonight, folks. I'm the current fleet manager in the council. I've been in council 39 years. Starting my career back in the 80s in leisure as a lifeguard, and just moving through the ranks. And about 10 years ago, I moved into environmental services as the waste management officer. So the waste management officer was taking care of the refuse collections, street cleansing, and our bulky lifts. So I ran that for about 8 years, along with our head of department and assistant head of department. I moved into fleet just over 2 years ago. Fleet, as you are all aware, it's a very busy area, and it's the main crucial part of our bin collections. You know, the lorries itself, we have 60 RCVs that we're taking care of on a daily basis. We have 10 mechanics in the garage that are looking after this equipment. We're in the middle of a fleet replacement at the moment, so it's fleet, plant and equipment. It's quite a huge task at present, and given the economic climate at the moment, you know, it has been really beneficial. We've done a lot of work in the last year and a half to put a fantastic business case together to change our whole fleet. One of the control measures we're putting in place, and the difficulties that we're finding, is prices change so quickly, and we've got to stay up on the market. That's working at the moment. We're ahead of them. We've got great contacts within the department itself, and all the mechanics. There's a lot of experience there that we share, which enables us then to go ahead with the procurement. So we have a great procurement team in council that we're working very closely with. You know, so moving forward now, it's a busy area, and quite happy to take questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thanks very much, John. Then I'm going to pass you on then to Nolene O'Malley. Nolene's our waste business manager, and she looks after the HRCs as well as our waste strategy.
Oh, hello. Thank you, members, and through the chair. Thanks for inviting me along here tonight. I'm probably the newest member of the team in that I think I'm into my 5th week. So still finding my feet somewhat, and I'll probably spend a bit more time telling you about the things I've done in previous employment, and then let you know what I'm going to be responsible for here going forward. So I've got 25 years experience in waste management, gained in Newton Abbey Council, Lisburn City Council, and then Lisburn and Castlereagh City Council. In Lisburn, I was responsible for waste policy and strategy, so I formulated responses to consultations, developed waste policy associated with our curbside collections, our household recycling centres, and reported on performance through waste data flow. I also managed a small team that looked after waste outreach and education, so we went out to schools, we went out to community groups. Anybody who was happy to listen to us talk rubbish was the joke. We would go out and speak to them, so that was always a very interesting area of work. I've represented the council on various forums like the Council Waste Forum and the Government Waste Working Group, so very much exchanging information and best practice with other councils. We all deliver similar services, but we all do it somewhat a wee bit differently, and it's always good to learn from our counterparts and also exchange best practice that we can inform people on. And then I would have experience in funding applications for behavioural change projects, curbside change, household recycling centres, things like that. So my current role with Armagh, Banbridge and Craigavon Council, I will be responsible for the household recycling centres, also for community engagement and outreach, the closed landfill site at Ballyfodrin, and then general waste planning, strategy, all of that sort of good stuff. So happy to answer any questions, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, Nolan. Chair, in environmental services, we have in the region of £12 million worth of contracts that need managed every year. Catherine Cunningham then is our waste contracts manager.
Thank you very much through the chair, and thank you for having me along to introduce myself tonight. As Martin has said, I'm Catherine Cunningham and I'm the waste contracts manager within environmental services. I took up my role here about 4 months ago. I have over 10 years of experience of working in local government within Northern Ireland, and 8 years of that is in the waste management sphere. My previous roles covered waste education, waste strategy and development, environmental and planning consultancy, as well as oversight of waste management contracts and the management of council sustainability and climate initiatives such as the environmental management system and climate action planning. My role within Armagh City, Banbridge and Craigavon Borough Council entails looking after the waste contracts, which, as Martin has highlighted, total up a significant spend in a year. I'm involved in the procurement of these waste contracts, including building the specifications for the services that we need, but more importantly, I'll be working on the management of these contracts after they've been awarded. I'll spend a lot of time building relationships with our appointed contractors, meeting with them regularly and monitoring their performance, all to ensure that council are getting the service that was asked for, that the ratepayers need and what we're paying for. This will include monitoring them against agreed performance indicators and that appropriate reporting data is coming through to help us meet our mandatory and statutory reporting requirements. A big part of my role will also be working to make sure that our contracts all remain compliant and relevant as the service develops. The role is going to be increasingly important going forward, as under the new Procurement Act, there's an increased responsibility on public bodies to report publicly on the performance and the management of big tenders that are worth over £5 million. So it's going to be very important that we have this information. I'm happy to take any questions that you have now, or if you think of a question later and you want to direct to me, I'll be more than happy to deal with that. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Catherine. The vast majority of the activity within the department itself, as members will well know, is within the refuse service itself. Michael Baker then is the operations manager for all of our refuse services.
Thank you, Martin. Through the Chair, my name is Michael Baker. I'm the Environmental Services Operations Manager, responsible for resource collection and street cleansing within the Borough. I've been in the position now just over 6 months, and I feel like we're starting to get the grips, and we're actually really quite a new team within Environmental Services as well, and we're starting to really get the grips with the tasks at hand. Myself, I've been in 2 previous councils, one being Antrim Newton Abbey, working within recycling centres, and also more recently working within Mid and East Antrim Council in a similar role to what I'm delivering now. Particular interest at recent deliveries that we were successful with in Mid and East Antrim was the delivery of route optimisation and other optimisation processes. So we're keen to progress with similar new ventures within Armagh, Banbridge and Craigavon Council. Again, very happy to accept any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone, any questions, members? Yes, Councillor O'Dowd.
Thank you, Chair. Can we have all your numbers on speed dial, please?
Just to reiterate, Councillor O'Dowd says she's not joking. And if you could circulate that to all members, that would be very much appreciated. Members, I don't see any other lights on. Hilary, is there any online? No. And members, just to make you aware, Alderman Greenfield is also joining us online as well. Okay, well, again, can I thank Catherine, Michael, John and Noeline for joining with us tonight, and we wish you all the very best in your new roles. And I'm sure, as you say, the phones will be on speed dial. So thank you for that. And believe it or not, members, agenda item 3.1 and 3.2, whilst they're information items, if anyone has any questions, Noeline's here tonight to actually answer any questions that may arise. Alderman Moutray.
Thank you, Chair, and welcome to you all. It's good to see you in the chamber tonight. In relation to 3.12, the biodegradable waste between 2022, 23, 23, 24 fell by around 30%. Can you give me a reason as to why that would be? And I note also that largely we're on target to hit the targets for 2025 of 55%, which is encouraging.
Thank you, Alderman Moutray. Noeline, can you answer that one for us, or is that, yeah? Great, thank you.
No, unfortunately, I can't answer it for you tonight, but I'm more than happy to go in, look at the statistics and come back with a response for you. I haven't been here long enough to go into the detail behind it, but absolutely I'll follow that up and feedback if that's okay.
You content with that, Alderman Moutray? Okay. Members, I don't see any other lights on, so content to move on. Agenda item 4 is a decision item, so Claire is going to take us through the slight difference in the new policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. So you have a decision item before you tonight, and it relates to the review of the tree management policy. As you'll see, the policy was originally agreed in 2020 and has now been subject to review by officers, taking on board feedback from yourselves and from our key stakeholders, whether they're domestic ratepayers or commercial ratepayers. So I would draw your attention to page 5 of the policy, and in particular 5.5, the scope change. So it refers to as follows: the procedure shall apply to the management of trees which are located on council lands, or those trees located on lands where council have prior agreement in place. If additional funding is made available for arboricultural works outside of any prior agreements and which are located on council lands, then council must consider such requests following proper consultation with elected members and determining the council's varies to do so. Council may only lawfully carry out such works on lands and other parties following landowners' agreement, and to do so following full consideration by council. So previously the policy did focus very heavily on health and safety works, and we were very much minded to the budgets that were available to the team to do those works. So it's hoped through this change in policy there'll be additional scope to carry out discretionary works as they come in and may affect our ratepayers. So some of the requests that we would get in that respect would be trees that may be growing into neighbouring properties or where they're blocking light. So there have been a number of those requests, and a number of those have been dealt with in recent months, but I'm conscious that we're not always able to do those works because we don't have the budget nor the varies to do so. So with that, members, I hope you accept the amended policy.
Thank you, Claire. Alderman Moutray.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a question, but Claire has somewhat alleviated my concerns in relation to what I wanted to ask, and saying that there would be hopefully a degree of flexibility. And I'm talking about people that live neighbouring to some of our parks where trees are in excess of 60 feet tall and impacting daylight now. But I'm happy enough to leave it, and thank you, Claire, for the report. And on that basis, I'm happy enough to propose the report.
Thank you, Alderman Moutray. Councillor Armstrong.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Claire, for the report. I know you've done a lot of work in this over the last couple of months, and I really appreciate it. But just a couple of questions in relation to the policy itself. I know we had a workshop a couple of years back, or a year back, or a couple of years back, and we had identified 730 trees of concern within our towns and town centres that either council did not own or nobody knew who they owned. Will this policy include those trees if they are a health and safety concern, or if they're growing over signs or in towards houses? Will those trees be included in this, or is this solely only council owned trees, or ones that we have an agreement with DFI or a housing executive? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Armstrong, for your question. I suppose in response to that, I would draw your attention back to the scope, and the reason for the change in scope was to reflect some of the work that's about to be undertaken in terms of the town centre trees, where there has been funding identified and will be used to carry out a number of audits. And then following up from that, then there'll be a number of tree works carried out to those high-risk trees, but it doesn't exclude other tree works outside of those. So as long as we have the varies and council permission to do so, we will be able to undertake those subject to budget being available.
Well, thank you, Chair. Yep, no, happy enough. Just want to get clarification on that, but yeah, happy enough to second Alderman Moutray's proposal. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Armstrong. Councillor McClelland.
Yes, Chair, thank you for letting me in, and thank you, Claire, and your team for putting together the policy and the report. And I don't really have a comment, it's more, or no, sorry, I don't really have a question, it's more of a comment. Certainly having read through it, it is a robust report, it's a robust policy, and I think if the previous category Storm Owen taught me anything, certainly as someone on whose property quite a number of trees were down, and there was one particular tree impacted on a neighbour and insurance was involved and so on, and the one catchphrase that certainly sticks out in my head from an insurance point of view: trees are tricky. And I'm pleased that it is a robust report, it's a robust policy, and certainly after the previous storm, I certainly have got my eyes open in terms of what insurance companies will cover and what they won't cover, and it needs to be the belt and braces approach. So very well done, Claire, and your team.
Okay, and thank you, Councillor McClelland. Now, Alderman Greenfield is zooming online. He had indicated. I'm just afraid that he's indicated again. Okay.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Claire, for your report. Yeah, it's in a similar vein there as the previous speakers. I suppose there is concerns, and we have had folks out from council on different trees. There's always been quite a bit of backward and forward now, so we do welcome the report. And just to be clear again, so there is an element then now that we will have, if someone comes to us and it's reported, that we do have a mechanism now in place, even if it's not something that we currently own, something that we haven't traditionally done something that somebody else done. But if there is am I hearing that right, that we do now have that mechanism in place that we will be able to look at it if it's the will of a council?
Thank you, Alderman Greenfield, for your question. Yes, I would draw your attention back to the scope at 5.5. So where there's landowner permission, yes, we may be able to look at doing some tree work there. But again, we'll need to look at everything case by case, just to be absolutely certain that we have the varies to do that.
Alderman Greenfield, are you content with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're slightly clear, but we're still very much guarded in how we do it, and I understand that for different reasons. But hopefully, we're moving towards something that we will be able to work on a case by case basis. Thank you.
Okay, members, I don't see any further lights on, and it has been proposed and seconded, so content to move on. So agenda item 5, correspondence, which I don't have any. So could I have a proposer and a seconder to go into committee? Thank you, Councillor Armstrong and Councillor O'Kane. Thank you. So if IT could just let me know when we're Thank you. Thank you. Members, we're on now to agenda item 7, any other business, and I don't have any other business here before me tonight. So enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you all for your participation, and safe home. Thank you.